Okay, so I got the pleasure to be with Eluveitie. Congratulations for the show tonight in Download Festival.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
So, Eluveitie began a long time ago, and a lot of evolution. Maybe who between you can tell us how did you find the first idea of mixing, instrumental, old instrumental Switzerland from Switzerland and metal?
Well, it was just like a personal dream or something, I was playing metal music since a pretty long time. I formed my first death metal band in 1991, I think it was. And metal has always been like my world. But I also, since like early childhood, traditional Celtic folk music was an important part in my life. And relatively early, I also started learning these instruments. So it's just the two kinds of music that I love personally. And I always just had the dream to bring my two favorite kinds of music together. That's basically why.
Yes, but there's two things in fact. There's the mixing of old instruments and having a band with a lot of people on stage. It's not very easy.
Yeah, and
so it's
yes, of course it's not easy, but if you want to have also the folk music part, it's obvious that you need more people. And I know there have been other bands like just using, I don't know, like synthesizers and stuff, but I don't really get that concept. I mean, if you want to do that, then also just use a fucking drum machine and stuff like that, or guitar samples, or but I mean, if you want to have the sound of bagpipe, then just have a fucking bagpipe player and the bagpipe. Otherwise it's just like weird, I think.
Of course, in the beginning, it was a crazy idea to make folk music, to mix folk music with metal. It was, a challenge.
I mean, the challenge was actually to find people to join up, because back in the day, this combination was not established at all. So if you were like within the metal scene asking around for musicians to form a metal band, but also like with violin and bagpipes, they just looked at you as you would be from outer space or something like that. And it was the same the other way around. Like if you ask folk musicians and told them about metal, they were like, oh my god, metal, what is that? No. That was a challenge in the beginning, but it changed,
Yeah. And the other challenge was to make the listeners accept, especially for Switzerland. I think that lots of people made you, they're crazy. It's how I say, not crazy, but people who loves folk music from Switzerland, they're attached to roots, tradition, and say, that's can be metal.
Honestly, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what your opinion is, but honestly,
no, that's not my opinion.
No. For me personally, without wanting to sound disrespectful, but I never really gave a shit about this, because I look at it as my music, and I do it for myself because I love it. And if people join in and also enjoy it, then of course I'm happy. But if they don't, I don't care, because I'm doing because I love to do that. But I also think this is something that people can feel, because I think in music, not only music, in any kind of art, one of the most important things, I guess, is authenticity. And that you do what you really love doing, and that you are who you really are. And yeah, I think this basically does the trick. I don't know what you think, but
I mean, although it's really different, like metal and folk, it has actually still a lot in common. That's what you told me, actually, because you could actually, when you hear folk music, you told me that like you can hear the metal riffs, and that's actually true. If you listen to a mandola player playing folk part, you can easily just transcript it to a guitar easily, and that's actually, it's not really far, but at the same time it is really far, like, because it sounds so fucking different. It's like evil, and the other one is like light and nice, and you have these hard metal guitars and drums. But actually it fits perfectly, I really have to say. Like, it really fits good, and it has a lot in common. But of course people don't see that in the first place. You just see it when you playing these instruments, or you have a closer look at it.
For me, you're inspiration. Why? Because playing folk music in a metal way can open minds for a lot of other, not only in Switzerland, but I think in my land in Tunisia, where there's folk music, like Mezouet, it's something about roots, and people don't believe that the traditional music or folk music can be mixed to rock or metal.
Yeah, I just disagree, but I think this is, on one hand, I guess this is a normal way of perception, but on the other hand, we really have to see and admit that this is also like what folk music actually does, you know. Folk music, traditional music is, if you want to talk about genres or styles, it's actually the oldest kind of music there is at all. It's so much more older than classical music or any other kind of music, but it's still survived. It's still being played today by a young generation. It's still there, and the reason why it survived all these centuries is exactly this, because it was passed on from generation to generation over all these hundreds of years or thousands of years. But it changed with each generation, but without ever losing its soul. But it changed with the generation, it changed with the people playing it. And, you know, today we maybe mix it with metal music, but, you know, this also happened back in the day. And it was always played with, you know, with the things and also the musical things that were reflected by the particular generation. So I think it almost belongs to folk music that you do something with it.
Yeah.
Very music, actually.
Yeah.
If you have, for example, let's just take a look at the blues stuff. Like you have these really old, like, first recordings of blues musicians just singing and clapping, and you go on to like John Mayer, who does like really poppy voices over a really cool bluesy guitar stuff. You have this as well, like it's just that's how music is. You give it from generation to generation, and that's what probably our generation did with it now. Like, there's not only Eluveitie, there's other bands like mixing folk stuff with other genres. That's something really cool, and I hope this goes on. Like, somebody surprise us with something new, and we're just like, you know, mind-blowing stuff, like crossover.
Yeah. Okay. The first years, you had an idea, you make it, you realize it, and Eluveitie is here. But after all these years, how do you find inspiration to make new music?
I have no idea. It's just, to me, that's like a source that just never runs dry. I don't know about you.
No, it's just something you sit down and you do something, or you have something in mind.
Yeah, it just comes to you. It just flows, right?
But I think, do you still listen to old folk music from Switzerland and find new ideas for the band?
Personally, I listen to a lot of traditional folk music. Yeah. But it's not to find ideas or something. I just listen to it because I love. But actually, I mean, this also happens. It was just, you know, right now we're working on our new album, and there is a one really young whistle player from Ireland. I don't know, he's probably like 20 or something, but he's really, really fucking good. The seed. And Matteo, our whistle player, actually discovered that guy, and showed it to me, and I was like, oh my god! And he is also like, oh my god, like this guy is so good, and he also writes tunes. And then Matteo is in touch with him. They kind of became friends, and actually on our next album we're actually using one of his tunes and make some metal stuff out of it.
He doesn't use traditional tunes.
No, there's this one tune that actually this guy wrote.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we will make like a metal song, and he's also like super hyped about it. It's like, oh my god, it's metal band and stuff like that. So this also happens sometimes, you know.
So maybe if we send you some traditional folk music from Tunisia, this can be an idea, an inspiration.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I think there's always traditional music in every part of the world.
Exactly, yeah.
And probably a Tunisian band should actually take this and do something. Yes. There's also one band, for example, in Japan, right? They do traditional metal combined with traditional music they have. And I think it is not authentic. If we would do that, it was just like it would sound like not really good, probably. But if a Tunisian band, for example, I think like, hey, let's try this combination, it will probably sound really good.
Remember our last South American tour? There was this Inca band
in Mexico, right?
Yeah, they were amazing. And actually, like I remember, like 10 years ago, like I actually talked to quite a couple of musicians from South America, and they were like, I mean, they were interested in that kind of music, and they were like always like trying to like learn the Celtic instruments. And I always thought like, dude, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, why would you play like Celtic folk? I mean, you have amazing cultures. Like, why don't you take that? And on our last South American tour, there was this band. They actually took like ancient Inca instruments, and they had instruments I've never even seen or heard, and it was so impressive.
The show they did, everything. It was so really. It was so good. It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So. You told me that you're working on a new album.
Yeah.
And what kind of where's the destination? I think musically.
I think it was last October last year. We already released a single of the new album, and this is pretty much the direction, I would say. So it's kind of it will be hard. And it will also be kind of like back to the roots, like a bit Slania-ish kind of style-wise. I think, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Something to add?
And there will be amazing guitar work on it.
Yeah. That's I really hope, like, if you know the song Rebirth, like I was like, yeah, it was some good times in the studio.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much.
And I hope to see you in Tunisia one day.
Yeah, actually.
In Tunisia, right? It would be great. We love countries we never played in. Like, yeah, we would love to come.
Never came even as tourists in Tunisia.
Sorry?
Never came to Tunisia even as tourists.
No. Me none. I don't know.
I have to say, there's not much time. Or, I mean, we travel a lot. Like, a lot. And when I'm home, or most people in this band, when they're home, they want to be home, like at least for a week or two. So I would love to have a show in Tunisia, but go there, it's a thing, you know. I would probably just stay home for a week or two and not traveling again. But I'm pretty sure I heard a lot about Tunisia. Like it's a land worth visit, probably. Yeah.
I think you have to propose you to the Switzerland embassy in Tunisia. Come, they spent money to bring bands, so why not Eluveitie?
Yeah, but it always needs a promoter and somebody who does a show and want to have us there and like this.